We're back on live stream again, still on time, fortunately. But we're now on to item 13, the adoption of the annual report on dog control policy and practice. Gary, we've got Carl and Helen here.
No introduction required from me, Your Worship. So straight to Carl and Helen McLean. Welcome, Helen.
Good morning, Your Worship, councillors. So yes, that time again, our annual report to Internal Affairs on our dog control policy and practices. So I'll take the report as read. From our point of view, probably no real standout highlights, very much a business as usual year. Continued increase in dog numbers, continuing to get a very high re-registration rate of around 98%, which is the envy of a number of other councils. And in the enforcement space, static, if not slight reductions across most areas of the enforcement activity. Impounding's up a little bit, but no real major trends in that space. And of course, at the moment, we're now moving on to the review of the dog control policy being a significant focus going forward. So really, that's probably it in a snapshot. I'm quite happy to take any questions or feedback.
Any questions from anyone? No, pretty straightforward. Moved Phil and seconded Liz. And Roger Gordon has been getting gun training lessons, so if you need some assistance, he's available. So we have a mover and seconder. All those in favour, please say aye.
Sorry,
oh, sorry.
How's the dog animal control team going? Like, has it been a good 12 months? Has it been a bad 12 months? Is it getting worse with dogs?
Through the chair, I guess the one aspect that is getting slightly worse is we're getting an increasing number of customers that are difficult to deal with. So we've had a number of threats and things like that we've had to manage. So that's an unfortunate trend that we have been seeing. But overall, I think things have been working well from a team perspective. Obviously, we've had our challenges getting to things as quickly as we might with the lockdowns and other bits and pieces. But hopefully the dog control policy will clear up a few of our other things that will allow us to prioritise some of those activities better.
And I think this is my chance to say thank you to you, because the fairness that you show when someone goes out to interview about some dog misdemeanor, because I've got a little dog and she barks sometime. But the politeness, and it's not something that you go in and say, with fists and guns blazing. And I think that as the community should be very grateful that we've got someone like you or your team that come out and show, maybe correct something that they're doing wrong, and it's not whiz the dog away and get rid of it. The advice that's given is gratefully accepted. Thank you, Carl.
No, thank you. Yeah, contrary to popular belief, education will always be our first approach. It's not what you read on social media.
Okay, I've got a mover and seconder, and I just can reiterate Hazel's comments. Thanks to you and the team. It's a difficult job, and in the I was going to say the political climate, but in the climate, people are getting a little bit more aggravated. You've only got to watch the news to see what's going on across the whole spectrum. So when you're in that front of house, it can be pretty challenging, Helen, for your team and yourself. So thanks for all the effort. So if we move in a second, all those in favour? Contrary? Carried. Thanks, guys. And item 14, sale of a vehicle to the urban miners.
Thank you, Worship. Mr. Morris is here for this matter, and Councillor Lou and Councillor Roger have declared an interest.
No, stop here.
Okay, yeah, thank you, your worship. So Yeah, so look, the report is fairly straightforward. I would hope. There's we were approached, or council was approached in regard to urban miners, effectively seeing some new trucks around the district, and asking essentially what was happening to the old ones. So we've over the last month or so engaged in a few discussions with them. They came and looked at some of the trucks. They identified one that they were particularly interested in, and they have now confirmed that they are very, very keen to actually take that truck into their operations. It will be very, very useful for them. We did look at the market value of that truck, and have quite a degree of confidence in the number that's written in the report. Essentially, urban miners have said that they would be happy to pay that amount. So you have a recommendation in front of you that truck gets sold to urban miners rather than going through our normal approach. The normal approach obviously being to put those trucks through Turners in an auction process. But look, just because this is a departure from the normal process, our policy requires that this matter be brought to council. So
Thanks,
your worship, that's the recommendation.
Thank you, Ken. And the reason I said I didn't want either Lou or Roger to leave the room, their only association really is because they're volunteers and work hard with the urban miners on the collection of electric waste. I'd just like to, I suppose, sound out council's views, and I think because of the work that the Cambridge Rotary are doing through the urban miners collecting electrical waste across the district, whether in fact council wouldn't consider a gift of that vehicle to them rather than selling it to them, because they do a huge amount of work collecting electrical waste. And look, I know that they've offered to pay for it, but it's a service that we're not actually having to fund, and the amount of work that the group put in is phenomenal and really well received across the whole district. So I'm just wondering whether it's a small token of appreciation from the council. So look, I'm just putting that forward, and it's not hard to change the resolution to gift rather than sell. And I see Ken is.
So your worship, that obviously is an option that is totally available to council to gift the vehicle instead of selling it. In fact, there is some precedent, in that regard to on the odd occasion, other council vehicles, towards well, certainly at the end of their usefulness to council, being gifted to other organisations. The one that springs to mind is ComSafe. Over the past few years, two or three vehicles have gone to them. I guess the reason that this has ended up with a recommended price is that their very initial approach was, can we buy this vehicle rather than perhaps the more normal approach of can we be gifted a vehicle. So on that basis, and with the information that we had available, we did talk about a sale, but look, if it's council's wish, then it's council's wish, and obviously this is a relatively small amount of money in regard to council.
No criticism of staff putting the report forward, Ken, and it's and the discussions I've had, it was never asking for the vehicle, but it just seemed to me that with the amount of work they're doing, that it's appropriate. Susan, were you wanting to?
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you, Jim. I think that's a fantastic idea. Yesterday, I was sent a link to a really disturbing documentary called Blood Cobalt, and it really drove home to me the need for really efficient and accessible e-waste offerings, and urban miners do that for us. So I totally agree, and I'll circulate that link to this documentary. It's quite really concerning. So I think if we can gift it to them, I think it'd be an amazing gesture.
Okay, Andrew.
Look, I'm happy to support that idea, and in part, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking it's great that they're getting a vehicle that's going to do what they want, but it's also reasonably old and it's quite likely to need some TLC along the way. So, you know, if we're effectively freeing up some money for them to keep it going, it's probably, that's a good idea as well.
Thanks, Andrew. Any other comments? Yeah. Okay, so we've got a recommendation there, A and B. So we just changed that to approves the gifting or transfer, whatever you want to put there in B.
Yeah. So through your worship, could I suggest that B would change to something along the lines of approves the gifting of the Isuzu Alf yada 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 at no cost. Yeah. So would that work? I assume you've captured that, Jenny.
Thanks, Jenny. Okay. So did you move, Andrew, and the seconder, Claire? All those in favour? Aye. Contrary? Carried. Thank you for that. So we now are on to item 15, a resolution to exclude the public. Mover, Councillor Graham and Phil. All those in favour? Contrary?